You are listening to Two Heels and a Face Wrestling Podcast, a podcast where we believe wrestling is a buffet and there's something there for everyone. Make sure you're following us on all social media such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook under Two Heels and a Face. That's number 2 Heels and a Face. Make sure you check out our website, twoheelsandaface.com.
Era, 2 Heels and a Face.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Two Heels and a Face Wrestling Podcast. On today's episode is a project that we've had in the works for a little bit and something that Chris and I have wanted to do really for years. And at the beginning of this year, we put this down on our bucket list. I feel that Chris and I are really the only podcast that could do this, and I take pride in it. And I think that's because Chris and I have reached out to a lot of different people around the scene. We've taken time, as well as these gentlemen have taken the time to come on our show and talk about their promotion and talk about certain wrestlers at in certain years and certain things like that. Some people on this podcast have reached almost 24, 25 appearances. So I think James is around 17, 18. And here comes Steve, who is joining in the introduction. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Good. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
What's up,
this
man?
is the meeting of the 5 families and the 5 Chicago wrestling families. I want to point out too, before we even get started, there is no representative from like a CSW here. There's no representative from an Ego Pro here. And there are other less wrestling promotions right in the area. But these are just 5 people that we had good relationships with. And we felt like comfortable inviting on the show, of course, to have this discussion. But also shout out to all those promotions mentioned. Go see their shows as well. So this is the meeting of the 5 families. Yes, that's a Godfather reference. But no, we will not be slinging mud today. We will not be shooting each other. We will not have revolvers taped to the back of toilets or anything like that. We're just here for good, clean wrestling discussion. I want to point out that I believe this podcast is for wrestling fans who want to go to shows of these promotions in the future. I think this is a good podcast for potential wrestlers or people that are new in the business who potentially are interested in getting to know the person that books them better, or even getting to know another sort of promoter, and just people who are really interested in the scene, honestly. And as mentioned, Chris and I are proud to be able to provide this platform to have an episode like this. James, and we're going to introduce everyone. James has sent me 2 videos, and there's a part 3 as well, of a similar podcast that was 16 years ago. It took place 16 years ago. So this episode is 16 years in the making. Now, on that podcast, there was 5 or so promoters. Yeah, 5 promoters. It was Tony Scarpone, who's representing 6, right, because one of them was the host. Tony Scarpone, who was representing Underground Wrestling. P.O. Myers representing PCW. Ripper Manson representing Windy City Wrestling. Jimmy Blaze representing POWW. Steve Kane representing VWAA, which I'm not too familiar with. Right, Okay, so 6 promoters. Jim Lynam, or Jim Jesus, representing AAW. And then Billy Wack, who was the host of that podcast. So 16 years later, here we are. Chris, myself, who have not done any promoting, but just podcasting. And then we have 5 promoters who have all ran shows in the area. The vibes of this podcast are going to be very different. If you watch those videos, some of the questions are made, like I said, to pit the promoters against each other. Some of those promoters have beef, et cetera, et cetera. There's going to be none of that today. These are 5 genuine, friendly questions. This is a positive cast. We've been saying that for 8 years. It's going to continue to be a positive cast until episode 300, which is on December 29th at 8:30 p.m. 3-hour drunken live stream. You're all welcome to join that as well. So, Chris, did I forget anything before we introduce our guests today?
You ran through that whole thing like you had an agenda.
Like I had an agenda and I was thinking of everyone's time and the fact that we've started late. Yes.
Yeah,
Can I just
absolutely.
very quickly, I want to watch what you just described. Can you please send us all the links?
Yeah, I will send everyone.
We're apparently getting the link.
You.
Yeah, we're all getting the link at some point today.
I told you people were going to be very interested in getting that link.
Mm-hmm. I attended at least 3 or 4 out of those 6 and know who those people are. That very much intrigues me. Also, point number 2 before we go forward, because I can't help but mention it. Trent, you have the coolest uplighting I've ever seen. You look like a badass the gangrel coming up for your entrance. Sorry, I had to point out both of those things before you continue.
Completely like hodgepodge. Like I am not in a normal setup at all. So thank you. I'm making it work with a lamp. So thanks.
You look ready to kick ass.
Steve trying to get on your good side because he knows that his appearance record is in jeopardy. Although today is a draw, of course. Today's a draw. And then also too, if you heard some banging in the background, there are luchadors bumping in the background of where Carlos is. But no, that's a great. We're all going to get that. I'll send everyone the videos, and you'll see that the questions are a lot hotter. Let's say in that those episodes. But today will be friendly. Let's introduce people. Carlos Robles from Galli Lucha Libre. Can you introduce yourself?
Well, you just did it. Carlos Robles. I don't know what else you need.
Let's talk about Galli. How long have you guys been running?
We started running in June 2007. Still going. We're on show 582 right now. Well, awesome. Looking forward to 600 next year.
Hell yeah. Great milestone. Okay. Second is James from Freelance. Tied third in all-time twos on face appearances. James.
Tied in third, or I am in third?
You are third.
All right, third. That's fine. And then what? I'm in this room with 1 and 2, huh?
Yes, you're in this room 1 and 2. Yeah.
Okay.
How's it going, James? Who you're representing Freelance Wrestling, and you've had Freelance Underground before.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been a promoter?
Too long. Let's see. Originally was promoting Underground Wrestling in 2008, which then became Pro Wrestling Blitz after I left.
Yeah.
Started Underground again in 2014, flipped it to Freelance Underground a few years later, and then Freelance Wrestling's been around since June 2014.
Awesome. Love that. Rabbi Fine of Second Wrestling. How long have you been doing Second?
We just had our 4-year anniversary, and I was before. Yeah, I've been the promoter the whole time, and before that, I just helped a little bit at First Wrestling up in Minnesota, helping with a venue. So that's where I kind of got my start. But my first ever indie show was AAW, so I've got a special place for that.
Oh yeah.
And that card, by the way, literally everyone is on TV today. It's Swerve, and yeah, it's a great show.
Nice.
Love that. Trent, who is technically not the promoter, but or head honcho, but I feel like he is in my heart. He is Mr. AAW. Trent, can you introduce yourself?
You set me up for failure. I mean, these are men who are responsible for tax filings and like securing buildings and insurance. I am merely just like Danny's like right-hand man, top producer. The only reason I'm here is because Danny doesn't answer his phone, which, as some of you guys might know Danny, Carlos, you know him pretty well. He doesn't answer his phone. He doesn't reply to people until like a week later. That's the only reason I'm here. I answer my phone. So I'm representing on behalf of AAW. But background in that, I'm going to hit my 10-year at AAW at this coming show on the 26th at the Windy City Classic. That's 10 years for me being a producer for AAW. But fan since day one. I went to the first show at the Berwyn Eagles Club way back when it was Jim Lynam and all the Mancow Morning Madhouse guys were sitting in the crowd. And I thought that was super cool. So I go pretty far back with my fandom of the company. But yeah, 10 years in about 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. And then Trent's ongoing rival, Steve.
Friendly rival, right? This is the neutral ground here today.
Once enemies in trivia. So we have Steve Tortorello from Warrior Wrestling / Pro Wrestling Ventures. Steve, how long have you been doing that?
Oh my gosh. So we started Warrior Wrestling in early 2018. So that we just completed our 7th full year of promoting wrestling shows, which is crazy. It flies.
I love it. Cool. Okay, so gentlemen, I have 5 questions here. The questions were created to talk about the wrestling landscape in general and kind of like the challenges you might face or other things you might, other positives, things we could talk about. It's about, they're more general questions, but feel free to go into like specific examples about things you've dealt with, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to do the 5 questions. Everyone will get a chance to answer the question, and we're going to go in a rotating order. So the first question, we have Trent up first, and then, on the second question, Trent will go to the back of the line and he'll answer last, and another person will answer first, just so everyone kind of has a chance to, be the first to answer, because, and feel free to repeat an answer that someone said to, because that also just might be reality. We do with this as well as you guys do, et cetera, et cetera. But we wanted everyone to get a chance to give an answer first, just to, maybe if one person is jumping in last, their answer is being taken, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just the reason for the rotation. Okay. Are we all set? Thumbs up? Great. Thumbs sideways. Awesome. Okay. This is for Trent, and then we'll go in an order. I can call on the next person to go. Question number 1. From your perspective, what makes Chicago such a unique and enduring market for independent wrestling?
I think honestly, it's a big wrestling town, right? So you got a lot of history here for the sport as it is, but it's sitting in the center of the country, basically, right? You are the meeting point of so many different people to come here, and it's at least pass through here, if anything. And I think we are so accessible to Michigan, Ohio, Iowa, Indiana, all these different areas that have schools. So we're a perfect center point for all this talent to feed through here. And I think it's always historically been that way. Like Chicago's always been such a good meeting point for talent. And I mean, it's evidence, right? Look at all of our rosters. There's a lot of carryover, obviously. There's a lot of people who do carry between all of our rosters, but there's a lot of uniqueness throughout the years in our rosters. Like imagine like in one city, how many, and we're just like a little sample. There's other promoters who aren't here, and think about how much unique talent all of our rosters have. That's pretty remarkable to say. And over the years too, like how many we've broken through and are on TV today. That's pretty awesome to see. Like we've all kind of operated independently this whole time with our unique talent along with the carryover talent. But that's like, it's just crazy to me that one town. I mean, Chicago's a big city, but wrestling fans are a small portion of it. It's still a very niche market. And we've all had these unique talents that have come through here. And it's telling to Chicago that so many awesome talents come through this city at some point or another. And it depends where they land, some crossover with us, but there's never been a shortage, and I think that's really what makes this town so awesome when it comes to a wrestling town. Yeah. Not to mention the big companies, the TV companies throughout the years have all featured this city in some way or another. They've all had a big show here, historical moments here. Like they've all been centered in Chicago at some point or another too. So we've always had a lot of fuel on the fire in this town, which I think is cool.
Yep. Makes sense. James, from your perspective, what makes Chicago such a unique and enduring market for independent wrestling?
Essentially, to piggyback off of Trent, essentially everything he said, Chicago's always been a big wrestling city. Even before any of our companies existed, you had Windy City Wrestling. You had the Gagnas AWA coming down to Chicago. It's always been a central hub for professional wrestling, regardless of the times. And there's a lot of different talent that we all have, and then there's crossover too, but majority, it's everybody kind of has their own core group roster, and then it goes out to the outside talent of the city of Chicago, to the grander scale of the more of the indie name or former star name, who all have come through the city at some point with their former respective companies. So, just Chicago, listen to how many people from WWE have talked about how their favorite city is Chicago. how Allstate Arena is their favorite arena because of the acoustics in the building. So Chicago has that already going for it.
That's true.
Wait, can I just say something? Am I the only one who still calls it the Rosemont Horizon? Like, am I really stuck in the past that bad?
I almost said Rosemont Horizon. And I had to correct myself.
I call it that all the time. I still think to this day it's a way cooler name. It's probably the coolest arena name of all time.
That's how Austin refers to it too. Yeah.
I say it in front of my kids, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
I love it. Rabbi Fine, what makes Chicago such a unique and enduring market for independent wrestling?
Yeah, they both hit the nail on the head. I think there's two other things. I think one is O'Hare is like a super accessible airport, dead smack in the middle. Everything comes through that. And the other thing I think is just like personality and character-wise. Like I'm a big sports guy, and like one of the reasons like Chicago gets behind its stars as long as they show heart and effort. Like I always joke about like even though Cutler was a way better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky, we all drove Cutler out of town because it looked like he didn't care about playing for the Bears. I'm not saying he did or didn't, but where Trubisky, like we knew was trying, we just knew that he wasn't very good. We're like, okay, you should have a great career somewhere else. Whereas like Cutler were like, leave us, right? And so because of that, like grit and character, like also wrestling is all about that, the grind, the personality, the who wants it more. There's nothing bigger than wrestling. So I think there's an element of that. And I've seen that also with like my roster and some of your, talent as well, like who's really digging in. And I know like, I've told Isaiah's like which of his students, like I'm just really seeing like put in the extra effort or try really hard or did something really cool. And like, they should know that. And I think like the guys who are on multiple shows, at least two, but if not 3 or 4, like we're all seeing them put in the grind. I can put over one talent, like Axel Rico is just like, he's just like a great person to have on your roster for so many reasons. And I know Galli uses him all the time and others have used him as well. So like, it's because he's like, I don't know, he feels Chicago. He feels like he's gonna come in and no matter what, you're getting every ounce of him, no matter what you ask him to do.
Yeah, I love that example. Steve, same question to you.
Yeah, this is maybe a cousin answer to what the rabbi just said. This is a town of fandom. This is a town where people like to be fans of stuff, and what they're fans of becomes a part of their identity. Whether it's Cubs fans, Sox fans, Hawks fans, Bears fans, Bulls fans, whatever it might be. And I know this from talking to friends all across the country who are sports fans. They envy the fandom of Chicago, being a Chicago fan. And I think that translates to wrestling. I think you see it for the big companies and you see it for the independent companies as well. This is a city. There's something in the culture here where people like to rally. They like to be part of a community. They like to be part of a group. They like to get behind something. And that's true to an extent everywhere, of course, but it's really true here. And it's really specifically true here. So I think all of the things everybody mentioned, combined with the fact that this is a place where people want something to root for, whether it's the stars in the ring or the promotion itself, they want something to be a part of. And I think that just bleeds over into them wanting good wrestling. And that's why all of us, plus a whole bunch more people who are on the call, exist and can exist and thrive, because there's a lot of people who want to be part of something and cheer for something.
Yeah,
especially because they're living in Chicago and our sports teams aren't always necessarily something to cheer or get behind.
Yeah,
that's true. We have been in a little depression for that, except for this year. Bears are looking pretty good. I know Tampa's got their struggles, but we don't need to get into that. There might be a Bucks fan on this call.
you have to go there?
No, I don't. I just love poking.
Positive cast. Yeah.
I just love poking James. That's what I love. Okay. Carlos, from your perspective, what makes Chicago such a unique and enduring market for indie wrestling?
Well, following everybody else is going to be tough. They didn't leave much for me to say, but mean, I got to agree on especially the O'Hare part is really a big deal, especially for what, with me doing lucha and stuff. And it's really helped me over the years because certain wrestlers have moved to the area because of Chicago because it's so centralized. So that's made it easier. I mean, I'll give you an example. Chima or DJZ or Walking Wild, what do you want to call him? He ended up in Chicago because of that, because it was easy to fly everywhere. We were lucky enough to be one of the few promotions he kind of stuck to because he didn't want to be in all the Chicago promotions, which was kind of a little bit of the draw. I did him when he was like 18, but it kind of helped out. Just to give you a perspective, I had no idea how much wrestling was in Chicago when I started doing this because I became a promoter by accident. I think it was James that invited me to an AAW show to see what indie wrestling was like at the Eagles Club. So I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I started like getting, finding about other companies like POW, and I don't think it was CSW, it was War back then. But one of the things that I find unique is that Chicago is so big. I mean, I'll go to like Freelance and they have these like their own fans that you'll see them at other shows, but most of the time it's like their fans. If I go to AEW, they have their fans. And I mean, just to give you an idea, during the pandemic, AAW, what you guys run 1 or 2 shows by us at our building where you can do the limited?
Yeah, I think it was like 3. I think they were doing 3 shows with you.
Yeah, I think it was 3 shows, but we ran the next day. It didn't affect our draw at all. Like they had their fan base, we had our fan base, even though we were in the same building, basically using the same lucha stars for the 2 days in a row.
Yeah,
and it didn't. We both drew. So I just think Chicago is unique because there's enough for everybody, just to go around.
You guys, it's interesting, and all you guys might, just based on what Carlos said, there's like a group that you'll see at every show. It's Wrestling on the Marquee, they'll be at every show. But yeah, there are like the ones that only go to Freelance, Galli, Second, Warrior, and AEW. And it's interesting because I wonder what is preventing the crossover, because there are ones that just will not go to other, they won't cross over. They just are, they're stuck. That's their team. And it's like, we're all promoting online like crazy with all these stuff. I always wonder to myself, what's the turning point for them? What would get them to come to another show? Go ahead.
It's like when you're talking about what makes it. It's like a Cubs fan versus a Sox fan.
Yeah. However, well, you see, like sometimes you bring a guest in, and then that's the one they come in for, right? They want the autograph.
Right.
That's exactly the one but they don't come back unless you get another guest, like sometimes, which is always interesting. It's like fan psychology is, especially in wrestling, is all. Well, I can never analyze it.
I can never figure it out. I was a big TNA fan back in the day. So when we first started, one of the first guys we brought in was Petey Williams when he was just leaving TNA the first time. Well, we're going to draw TNA fans. We did it. I think we drew maybe 20 fans that were from TNA fans. But even Davey Richards, we had him on a couple of shows. Like, we're gonna get the Ring of Honor fans. Well, we got a few of them, but not enough to say that it made an impact. It's like they're like every promotion's got their following. Like you said, there's a group of guys or a group of people that'll go to all the shows.
Yeah. If anyone wants to chime in on that, feel free.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I often use the analogy of wrestling as like ice cream at an ice cream shop, right? Like there's Rocky Road, there's mint chocolate chip, there's cookie dough, there's whatever. And I think there are some people who just they like ice cream, right? They're going to eat every time you offer them ice cream, they're in. And there's other people who are like, I really only like chocolate. And like, you can make the best French vanilla in the world, but I really only like chocolate. And I think what's unique about the 5 promotions on our call is I think we each have our own flavor. Like, obviously there's a giant crossover, right? In that it's wrestling and it's wrestling in Chicago, but there's a different flavor. And I think we all get the people that love all ice cream, but then we each get the people that love our flavor. And it's interesting that the way that shakes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest advice I got was like to really find your identity as a company and like where you fit in. And that, we've, even in 4 years, I've seen multiple promotions pop up, multiple promotions go down. I don't even, feel like I'm still new at this in the respect that like I haven't, seen as much as many of you. And some come back to life, right? in ways. And so I'm always thinking about like what makes us, and I don't mean this as a disrespect, what makes us not AAW, what makes us not Freelance, We're definitely not Galli. And and I mean that out of total respect, is because like I love going to your shows. So like, why would I run another? I've said to other people, like, we will have the most amount of like freelance students like come and try to get on our shows. And one of the things I say to them often is like, just understand this isn't about like me wanting this, but we want to present you differently, not because we think we have a better idea than freelance, but mainly because they can see you 2 days later as the same thing. So like, what would make you unique to us? And so like, it's worked in some cases, like, and other times it's failed miserably. And sometimes we've changed the character, and that character has gone on to other promotions in new gimmick and stayed the same gimmick at another place. And so, I'm always thinking about that in like a respect way. Cause like, if my schedule was different, I would be at a million shows, because that's what I like to do on my own time. And it's way better and more fun going to a show than running a show.
100% agreed.
Yeah. Well, that's funny that you say that. Those are all good answers. And I think like, a good example might be like Sean Logan. That's a really good example. Same guy. He does two things very well. He coexists too very well. And it'll definitely should be, we're still going to write the Shy 25, which we do every year. Sean Logan is definitely going to be fairly high on that list, I would assume. But Rabbi Fine mentioned it, and James is up first for question number 2. As someone responsible for putting on events, what are the biggest behind-the-scenes challenges that fans might not realize when running a successful indie show, and how have you dealt with those challenges, James?
Biggest challenges sometimes is talent. I mean, that I'd say is probably the biggest challenge, is the talent, and making sure that everybody that's on the show is in the know of what they're doing, and if they have a problem, trying to deal with said problem in a professional manner and not let it spill over into social media wars or anything like that. Or even if like you're flying people in, or people are driving in to this past show, we had 3 people driving in from southern states, and they hit snowstorms, and they had to cancel off the show. We had to pivot, card subject to change.
Yeah.
And fans think they see it and they know it, but they don't know the actual struggles that the promoter goes through.
Makes sense.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to steal all the answers, so
that's
okay?
You're good. I was just making sure you were done, because sometimes I jump in too quickly. Rabbi Fine,
we've done that though, like just now. Yeah, I can see that.
Rabbi Fine, biggest challenges and how you've dealt with them.
Yeah, I agree. And one time we had I use all the time when wrestlers pitch me stories or ideas, I always say, just remember, there was a show where I wrote 5 minutes before, mainly because I couldn't sell the poster because there were 4 flat tires, whether they were actually flat or not, I still do not know. Injury, whatever. And the whole front of the poster was changed. And then I'm just DMing like who's available, and people are hitting us up. And in many ways, it was our best show. And so I was like, maybe I should never, I should just figure this out, but the pressure. For me, it's also like budget versus ticket sales expectation. And like, if you watch what we do, we usually have our regular roster and add 2 people, and we usually bring 1 carload. And I think Trent talked about this, like, we're so blessed to have like this awesome carloads from either Black and Brave or St. Louis or Indiana, and Minnesota and Wisconsin, and there's probably others, Ohio. And so like we try to do 1 or 2 of those cars per show so that it stays fresh, and then we try to add a couple names. And one of our things is we're a big place for opportunity. So guys who may not get on some of these other shows that I would say are bigger, or because we play Thursdays and Sundays and we're not playing Fridays and Saturdays, it's a great opportunity. And because of that, we have a unique spot, I think, in Chicago also, is that like We're not competing. Sometimes we can share talent that's coming in. They can make a whole weekend of it. No one's better at that than Shazza McKenzie, making a whole weekend out of all organizations. She is the master at that. And so for me, it's really budget, like who talent. I don't know about all of you guys, but when we get hit up, every town's like, well, if you can just pay for my flight, hotel, and rate, I can wrestle for you. And you're like, oh, that sounds really wonderful for you. But no one knows who you are. And I don't know who you are. So we try to bring in people who, I think the independent wrestling fan hasn't seen or should see or want to see. Like we had a Jordan Cruz on our show who's killing it on the West Coast, but like hasn't been to Chicago, and he did a fantastic job for us. And it's someone we highlighted, and Lena Cross. I know someone else had Lena, but she's now she's amazing, and so we tried to bring her in for people to see. So for me, it's really budget and fitting who the right names are to bring in to get the ticket sales on top of what our regulars would bring in.
Yeah. Steve, your biggest challenge is how you dealt with them?
Yeah, I mean, I would yes and to the first two answers. So I won't cover that ground more, but just saying yes, absolutely to those. I think also there's always some logistical challenge, right? Like we're one extension cord short that we need for the ring lights or whatever it is, and stuff that like you plan for and you have contingencies for, but you always end up scrambling to do something at the last minute. And it might seem like an incredibly small thing, but like if you don't get that damn thing, you can't light the ring properly. So then are we doing all the lights on? Are we doing like it just there's always something. I once told somebody that, running an independent wrestling show is really like running a wedding and maybe two weddings as far as all of the moving pieces there are, like the travel. I joke as the guys mentioned before, I'm basically like a travel agent is my second job. Like regularly when we were doing heavy fly-ins, there would be mornings I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and be like, all right, who didn't make their flight? Whose flight got canceled? How do we get Dragon Lee to Chicago by and how much is it going to cost me to get Dragon Lee to Chicago by 6 p.m. today? When we were doing some of the other cities for a while in 2022, I'd be driving from Chicago to Indianapolis. And by the time I got to Indianapolis, 2 flights got canceled and so got hurt. And we needed to rework the card, like Rabbi was saying a minute ago, right? Like the whole front of the card. Great. All right. Who's within 3 hours of Indianapolis that I can call at 3 p.m. and get here by the time of bell time or doors open, et cetera. Right. So yeah, so it's all the things they said, plus just a bunch of random logistical things. Like we thought we were going to do this many chairs here, and shoot, we don't have that many chairs. Or the row only fits this many chairs. Shoot, like there's just always something, and you need to go into it thinking that, right? Like if you go into it thinking, oh, I've planned the perfect day, you're going to have your heart broken 100 times. You need to go into it thinking there's going to be 25 fires today. I'm ready to put out fires. Here I go.
Yeah. Carlos, same question.
I mean, going along with what Steve's saying about putting out fires, it's a constant thing. One of the things that helped me at the beginning, and you probably confirm, by year 2, the fan in me had gone away. Where I started let's just be serious about the back. And one of the things, the worst part is like Rabbi said, you get all these people that want. We get a lot of calls too because we run on Sundays, where people want an opportunity where they might not have it somewhere else. I'm still kind of shy about. I don't want to say I'm shy, but I can't be straightforward. Sometimes we get kids that'll show up and like James knows because he worked with me for like over 10 years, but it's really different to light up a lucha crowd than it is an American wrestling crowd, and not every American wrestler is going to fit into what we do. The ones that do take off. That's one of the things, and it's hard to just tell them this isn't for you. And that's one of the hardest things that I found. Mm-hmm. And then as far as like Steve said, as far as the flights and stuff, now I've gotten to the point where like a wrestler will say, I missed my flight. I used to be like, oh my God, I got to get you here. Now it's like, oh, well, you just saved your pay. That's the way I look at it. Because if you stress over it, and like sometimes, especially me bringing guys from Mexico, and Steve has too, a flight from Mexico last minute is not cheap. So like, I'll just like, okay, I just let the people know he didn't show up.
Yeah,
that's probably the hardest part. And like, and then like the surprises, like Steve said, also it's surprises that You get there and you forgot the liquid for the smoke machine, something like that. Something like really, that you don't expect. That's been the hardest part. And then none of the fans know the pressure it takes. Once we turn on the lights, that's when we enjoy it. Up to that, we're all like losing our head.
Yeah, I don't enjoy anything until the show's over. So
I still enjoy it. Believe that fan part about me still is when we light up the introduction and we hit it. That's like I still get a buzz out of that. Believe it or not.
That's good.
All right, now I'm gonna enjoy it.
And I will confirm, year 2, you could see the light die inside of Carlos being a fan.
Oh no! Oh no! Trent, same question.
Honestly, it's +1 to what everybody said. Nothing was left unturned there. The other part of it is managing a roster's egos and emotions sometimes is hilarious. Like you guys, I mean, these fans look at these guys and they're all these tough guys and jacked and mean. I'm a badass and this and that. The littlest criticism will send somebody into a spiral. I mean, I'm talking people who are on TV. And you tell them, hey, listen, this wasn't right. Because, like, Danny was a wrestler, right? Danny worked. So Danny his criticism is from a place of experience. I have seen the most bruised egos on some of the toughest guys you can imagine. And it blows my mind. And how to balance that, because then I have to intercept it. They come to me, but they're not going to yell at him or cry to him. So they'll come to me about that. So I have to filter that through. So that happens a lot. But that's the funniest part. It's like, managing a roster, not only the roster itself, but their emotions, their egos, and yeah, whatever everybody else said too. Something will go wrong at a show, no question about it. Like you wake up expecting something's missing, something's broken, somebody's not showing up. You have to go into prepared to make the backup call, send somebody to Home Depot, things like that. Well, and what always gets me is, I don't know about you guys, but production guys will wait till the day of the show to be like, hey, we needed zip ties. It's like we had a whole month between a show. Like you told me the day of that, hey, we're out of zip ties. Or hey, I need a battery for this camera. The whole month we didn't charge the battery. I don't know why. You had them for a month at your house. But the day of the show is when like, by the way, we kind of need a camera, things like that. So blows my mind sometimes. But again, you get used to it and you just have to action it in that moment. But that's always wild to me. Like there's never fail. There'll be something, the smallest thing that will just poke you. And you'll be like, this was preventable. I don't understand why it's happening, but it was preventable. So, and then the venues, I don't know if you got the venues, man. Like sometimes these venue owners sometimes will just surprise you and be like, your guy broke that chair. That's a $150 folding chair. Oh, really? Like $150 folding chair. And you can't do anything because you need the damn venue. There's like 5 in the city only that will take a wrestling show. But the rules the venue owners throw at you sometimes blow my mind too, especially like some of the ones we've all ran at. So that's always a fun one to navigate at the end of the day.
To Trent's point, I had one show where nothing wrong happened.
No
and
kidding.
It was like the last match, and I'm just like sitting there like this, just waiting for the shoot, something, and then it didn't. We hit our numbers before door and all. And afterwards, my second guy was like, "How'd it go?" I was like, I'm still like on edge. I'm like waiting for something, but 100% agree. There's always something, whether it's travel, whether it's material, 100%. Never doesn't at one time in 50 some plus shows. Yeah.
Like if you guys, I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, and James will confirm it. Like I said, James was with me a long time. Before the show, I'm a complete asshole. Like when everything's getting set up, and it pisses the fuck out of me when guys show up late and they're like, "Hey, Carlos," and they're shaking my hand, like, get the hell out of here! Like you're late, just get in the back.
Yeah,
I'll confirm that.
And even the ego thing, like the thing is, like it pisses all off about their ego sometimes. But then you get guys that are honestly, not to be an asshole, but they're not good. And they'll pitch to you like they're the best wrestler in the world, and you're like, I'm trying to figure out how am I going to tell this guy he's just not.
It's not working. Yeah.
It's a delicate situation.
It is. You got to handle it like with kid gloves. Honestly, like some of them are so volatile that you have to you got to soften their. I mean, these guys are taking pile drivers to the floor, and you're like, I got to emotionally soften the blow to you right now.
Yeah,
it blows my mind. So.
Yeah. Why do you guys do this monthly? I'm just joking. I know you guys all love it.
I don't know about you guys, but I get to hang out with a bunch of my friends once a month.
There you go.
Interrupted. Just something that's what it is.
It's an addiction. It's like mafia. Once you're in, you can't get out. It's like
hey, mafia references. Me and 5 Fingers. You nailed it, Carlos. It's perfect. Okay.
I used to joke with the students because they hung out with the wrestlers when they were training. I said, this is like the mafia. If I catch you telling somebody who the wrestler is with a mask, it's like we disappear you, and the kids be looking at me like,
yeah. No. I know. I've learned a lot through Chris and through my gaining lucha knowledge over the past 8 years. That you don't mess with the masks and who's behind it and stuff like that. So I get that.
Well, one of our wrestlers was dumb enough to invite one of the fans to our we yearly like Christmas get together, and the fan legitimately took pictures of everybody and posted them on Facebook like in the morning. Luckily, I got up at 5 a.m. that day. I'm like, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but you just don't do this.
Yeah, definitely not. Mm-hmm. Okay, question 3. We're gonna start off with Rabbi Fine on this one. This is a question for potential new wrestlers or talent. I wanted to throw this in there because I know you guys deal with, as you mentioned, talking to wrestlers, et cetera, et cetera. The question is, what do you believe are the key qualities that help local talent succeed and stand out in the Chicago indie ecosystem?
Current talent, like not future. Well,
I guess it could be any. Either new or current.
First is please and thank yous. So you come help out, please and thank yous go a long way. 2 is help out. Don't assume that any of us know who you are, even if we do. And come build the ring and come wait, and hopefully spots will open up. Be vocal on social media in an appropriate way about your brand and our brand. So know who we are and know why you're reaching out and who you're reaching out to. It's not hard to find. We just recently had someone who reached out to us. I'm passport ready. I'm like, where do you live? And they live in Chicago. I'm like, where do you think we operate? So I think those are some of the big things, is that we're trying to grow a brand and you're trying to grow a brand, and those have to meet. So if you go off brand, you are who you portray online. So when you, if you're, politically or whatever driven, that also impacts how you present yourself to the fans. And it also, we're watching. So if we're interested in someone and they're going off the rails about something we think is really inappropriate, it's going to be a lot harder to get on our card, only because we're not looking for that kind of attention. People have their own private stuff. So, but the biggest thing is just be polite, be helpful. Don't assume too much. Most of the people, for us, we are a big place that gives a lot of opportunities. So show up, don't show up once. There are people who show up once and get upset that they weren't on a show. And I was like, I try to sit down with every talent. It sounds like I'm a little nicer than Carlos at the beginning of a before a show, but I might adapt Carlos's method. It might do me better. It sort of comes with my gig, my shoot gig, but yeah, I think those are the keys. Watch who's on our show and watch how they're handling their business, and try to imitate.
Yeah. Well said. Steve, what do you believe are the key qualities that help local talent succeed and stand out in Chicago indie wrestling?
Yeah, I echo everything the rabbi said about professionalism. I think that's a cornerstone of it. On top of the professionalism, I think you need to execute as a standout performer. I think we've talked about this in the past when I've been on. I like the acronym ICU: interesting, compelling, and unique. And so, especially in an era where we've been so saturated by moves, right? There's 1,000 guys that can do 1,000 cool moves. What makes you interesting, compelling, and unique? Interesting meaning you grab my attention. Compelling meaning you make me want to see what comes next. And unique, what makes you different than everybody else? And so you need to have the professionalism as a foundation. Without that, nothing else grows. But on top of that professionalism as a performer, you need to figure out what your niche is, what makes you unique to the audience, what makes you unique as a performer, what makes you unique physically in the ring and how you move, how you work, what makes you unique in the way you walk through the curtain, the way you talk, the way you interact with fans. I think each of those are the things that we're looking for in performers is what makes you stand out. So I think it's got to be both those things. You need to be a professional, and you need to have carved out your own little corner in the world, so that if it's Steve Tortorello is the wrestler, what does a Steve Tortorello match look like? What does a Steve Tortorello entrance look like? And that should be unique and recognizable. And for some people, that takes a long time to get there. Some people are a solid worker before they've become a unique total package. They're a solid worker for a long time. So to me, that's the thing I would add on top of the professionalism, is identifying who you are as an act and becoming who you're going to become as an act.
Love that. Carlos, what helps talent stand out in today's Chicago indie wrestling ecosystem? Oh, you're on mute.
One of the main things, adding on to what everybody else is saying, is and from my perspective, they got to be humble. Everybody's got to be humble when they come in. Our locker room is, and I always bring up James because he was there for so many years. We made it a point where everybody pretty much gets along. It's a little different from other locker rooms because one corner is speaking Spanish, the other one's speaking English, but we try to mix up and joke with everybody. But that's one of the things. And if you show up with an ego or like an attitude, even like, to be honest with you, even famous guys running from in the locker room, I think they're above the other boys, I will not bring them back. And that was like a culture shock to me at the beginning, because I'm not going to say any names, but the first year of Galli, when we were bringing guys in from Mexico, every one of those had a big ego.
Mm-hmm.
The day I brought him Jerry Lynn, nicest guy in the world, saying hi to everybody. I bring in Pitty Williams. He's shaking hands with the students and everybody, like, all of you are like one of us. And I appreciate that. Like that. And to this day, like, I have great relationships with some of the guys from Mexico. And some of the guys that are the top stars are more humble than some guys that'll come in and I don't even know who the hell they are. And like that to me counts a lot, for me to book somebody. Like, if they're not, especially if they're not well known, I don't take it from the famous guys. I'm not going to take it from some kid who's starting out and comes with an attitude. That's one of the main things for me. And adding to what Steve said, what makes you different? Even now, like when I started, I'll say this openly, the first year and a half of Galli was boring. Like, I was bored. It was 4-hour shows. Every single guy did the same moves. It wasn't until we started incorporating American wrestling into the lucha that we started mixing it up, where all these guys we were talking about, like Joe and all those guys from back in the day, started mixing up in the shows. Bryce, and they made it a little different. And it's like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to have 5 matches that look exactly the same. Mm-hmm. So like now I'm more picky about that. I tell them it's actually hard when you're wearing a mask because you got no expressions. So you got to do something with your moves that makes you different. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, Trent.
Again, plus one to what everybody said. Also, the other part of it is connecting with the fans, right? Like, that's one big thing. And I will absolutely say, seeing shows especially I've been to Warrior shows, Freelance, Carlos and your guys, to everybody, the merch table connection, huge. Connecting with the fans, even in the ring. A lot of guys don't realize, like, you have to connect with these people in order for them to feel invested. And I see so little of that, or less, I shouldn't say a little, but less of that these days. Like, these guys aren't seeing the importance of connecting with the fans and conducting themselves professionally when they are doing it. Like, I always look at it like this. You're still the star. Like, they're coming to see you. So act accordingly. And when I see guys not acting accordingly, it always throws me off. I'm like, you have an image here. Whether you're just starting out or not, you're still on the stage. You're part of the stage that they're coming to see. So represent that stage with respect. And like Carlos, like you were saying, a lot of these guys who nobody knows, like, they're coming in with these egos and they're acting immature. And I'm like, who are you? Like, where did you learn this, that you think this is okay? But a lot of times I tell especially the younger kids who come in, they got in their head like the whole, like, the handshake thing. I got to shake everybody's hand, and they have to go down the line and shake everybody's hand. I'm like, I stop them and I go, who are you? What do you do? Who trained you? Who invited you? Tell me about. Ask who I am. Ask who people are. Connect with this place you're at. If you're coming to in our locker room, know who does what, and tell people who you are and where you trained and where you came from. It's just a matter. Again, goes back to that connection, not just with the fans, but also with the locker room and the crew you're a part of today. Just make sure you're conducting yourself professionally. Show up looking respectful. I'm not expecting people to wear a suit, but come in looking. Don't come in looking like a bum. If you're trying to make an impression, especially, don't come in looking like a bum. I learned that from Chris Daniels. I remember Chris Daniels years ago taught me. Like, he was always known to be the best dressed guy in the locker room. Like, he showed up like an athlete. It sticks out. I remember recently Bruce Hamilton, which I think everybody's worked with recently. First time we saw, he had just come to visit from Black and Brave, and Danny saw him and he was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And he looked the part, and we talked. He got on the show that night. Things like that. Just that helps. And I tell people, like, to conduct yourself like a professional. This might be wrestling, but it's still a business, and you want to not only represent yourself well, but you want to be a part of this crew. You want to represent this crew well too while you're here. So things like that. But yeah, just with the fans, with the locker room, just be a pro. And sidebar, retweet the poster, retweet the match graphics, for God's sake. What is so hard about retweeting the damn graphics you're tagged to? Like that. I know it because I do all the social media at AEW. I know who's not retweeting this stuff. I'm like, we went to the trouble of making you a match graphic. You're on the damn poster, and they had the day of, they'll retweet. Give me a break.
I was just gonna say, before the day of, before 12 hours before the show, when they're like, all right, I'm on the way to the show, maybe I should promote the show.
Yeah, why not? Why not now, right? Let's not invest these people and their money when there's 200 other wrestling shows in this town between the graphic going out and this show. Like, come on. It blows my mind how hard that is for some of these guys. But the ones who do, I remember it, and it's like, hey, I like this guy. He actually gives a damn, So, but yeah,
you're completely right on that. You're completely right on that. I had one wrestler that I brought in who was a name. I'm not going to name names. We're not here to cause controversy.
Thank you.
Huge following. One of the main things I said, you got a huge following. You're going to help me promote the show. You got it, bro. Just bring me in. You bring me in. Put the poster up the day before the show. I'm like, who gives a shit? Like,
so crazy, man.
With your following, you should be posting it up to the day of the show, not the day of the show. It's like,
yeah, that reminds me, Trent. We need to get one more Trent rant out of you because you kind of just had a mini one there. But I love that for you, so don't ever change.
I'll do that. I will focus on that because that I think bothers every one of us. I'll represent all. I'll take it for all of us about retweeting the damn match graphics.
You'll be the flag bearer.
We all agree with that one. I had one kid go to the show the year. I didn't know who the hell it was, and like nobody else did. So we're done setting up the rings. Like, what match am I in? I'm like, I don't even know who you are. He's like, so I'm not in the match. I'm like, no. Like, I don't know who you are. Who's recommending you? He's like, well, this is fucking bullshit. I'm like, seriously? Like, where's the door? Then I ended up getting to see his footage. I'm glad he never came back.
That's why I want to find out when these guys like come up to. I'm like, what school are you with? Because I'd love to report this back. Because like the Black and Brave guys told me, like, if anybody acts out, like Crotch was like, immediately tell me who's acting like a piece of shit at your show because I need to know it. Because when they come back to the school, I'm gonna have it out with them. So like, I love like please tell me what school you're from because if you're gonna act out on my show, like you're getting tattled on. Your report card's going back terribly.
Yeah,
we want the exact same thing. Anyone that comes from the Freelance Wrestling Academy, if they act out or they do something dumb, we want to know about it. We don't want our name out there looking bad because of one person or two people that decided that they're going to act out because they think no one's paying attention. Mm-hmm. We want to know, and I promise Isaiah is not going to take it.
Yeah.
You got to do the Willie Richardson thing years ago. I don't know if you were on that show, James. This guy came in, one of his students, walks in with his buddies, like, I'm one of Willie's students. I'm like, Willie didn't say nothing. Well, I'm one of his students. And he walked in.
Oh, I remember this.
Make matters worse, we're picking up at the end of the night. My kid used to sell the food. I see him eating. I said, this guy buy food from you? He's like, no, he had the balls to take food off the table when my kid was putting the stuff away. I'm like, you came in here like you own the building. You take food for free. And I told Willie, he slapped him in front of everybody else. Like, I'm like, wow. I kind of feel bad for him, but he deserved it.
That is 100% exactly what happened. Willie found out and slapped the piss out of the guy.
There you go.
Not saying that James will do that, but that's just.
I'm sure James has wanted to wind up on me a few times, but he's held back.
Sure.
No, James would never. He's a kind soul. But yeah, no, I think Chris and I, when we first started out, 8 years ago, right? We wanted rapport with wrestlers before inviting them on, and the people that were approachable at the table were easy to talk to. And then we probably had them on the podcast pretty soon. And, obviously you don't need, whether that helped their career or not, whatever, it's just we're a drop in the hat for some people, or a drop in the water, or whatever analogy I'm trying to go with. But failing. But yeah, it does make a huge difference when you're approachable at a table. Honestly, it does. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, I know you didn't ask me, Charlie, and we're not no promoters here, but definitely the retweet of an episode. Like we focused on Chicagoland scene, independent wrestlers, and we, not to the best of our abilities, we get those graphics out, we get those tweets out, we get the episode out, and it's sometimes a little disappointing when you don't get that reciprocal just retweet or share of the episode. So I do see that pain from Trent's rants.
Yeah,
the fans will let you know. I mean, like a couple years ago, we had a big show. We had a big legend on there, and but he was a complete asshole to the fans. When he came out to do his match, the fans turned on him like you wouldn't believe it. It was one of our biggest drawing shows, so you could hear it. You could tell in his face he was like just aggravated. And then he's in the back saying, "Why are they treating me like this? Like you were an asshole at the meet and greet. What do you think?"
There you go. Drop in the bucket is an analogy I was going for. Drop in the bucket. Okay, moving on. I'm correcting myself, James. You're good. We've had the did you not get to answer? Okay, James, what is your answer for that question?
See, now if I was with you, I'd slap you for that one. That's happening now. Next time I see you, I'm slapping you.
Okay, that's fair.
For us, it's essentially what everybody's already said, professionalism. Carlos would said, be humble, humility goes a long way. And generally when people contact us, say they want to come and help, we say no. Reason being, we have the school attached to the company. We have 20 plus students. So we don't need all the extra help, because when it comes time to using more local talent, we're going to start in-house first, generally. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of up and coming people, they come in, oh, we want to help. And they're expecting something from the help, whether it be that day, next month, 6 months, they're expecting something. So for us, it's just been easier to say no. But when we don't say no, be professional, be humble. Even with our current roster, they could wrestle great. They could connect with the crowd great. They could have a great promo. But if they have a shit attitude, we're not going to continue to use them. I don't care how much the crowd loves you. Or even if you're at another show, you just wrestled for us, you're at another show, you're at AAW. And you're putting down our show to try to look better in front of AAW, or in front of Steve, or in front of Rabbi, or in front of Carlos, to try to play the political game of building yourself up. We won't use you again because, telephone, telegram, telewrestler. It all comes back. So make sure that you have yourself in check when you're trying to get booked. And if you're not booked, don't blame the promoter for not booking you, because networking is main key to getting on shows. And it just so happens that some of these shows may not ever have the opportunity to use you, but at least you can go. If you make a good impression with some of the other boys and girls in the locker room, maybe they'll be like, oh, I like them, I'm going to ask them to go on road trips with me, and you could get booked elsewhere. So just be humble, be professional, keep your mouth shut, ears open, and try not to really bury anybody or yourself in the process. Mm-hmm. That's my advice, because I've done it. I'm speaking from experience of screwing myself over in the past. where I felt I was a little too comfortable. I said something and it blew opportunities for me. I got into 3 fights with Carlos because of my mouth. But then, a week goes by, cooler heads prevail, and me and Carlos are best friends again. So be humble, be professional, keep your opinions to yourself. And if you have an opinion, keep it with your close friends. Make sure they're your close friends, because if they're in wrestling too, they're coming for the exact same spot you're trying to get, and they may not be as friendly or as loyal to you as you think they are.
Just a quick note, just so you know how me and James met, I was putting the ring together for the first time in my life, and he showed up where we had our building. So he helped me do my first ring ever.
I love that. I love that bond you guys have. That's great.
Met Carlos 18 years ago.
Actually, I was 19 before Galli started. Remember that.
Now, I know that we've had the ice cream example, which I think is a really good example that Steve brought to us. Chris and I have always used the buffet line example. I know every single person that we've talked to in this podcast, we've used that before. So question number 4, we're going to start with Steve, is how do you see your promotion contributing to the wrestling Chicago indie community? How do you see Warrior Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Ventures contributing to this community?
Oh, wow. Hopefully by creating a unique atmosphere for shows and a unique community as people are seeing shows. We've always loved that buffet analogy as well, and try as hard as we can to have our shows be a buffet of a variety of different styles. And we always think that one of the things we hear from people that they really enjoy is, even if it's just 1 or 2, seeing a couple of TV people that they get to see up close. And that's like a big experience for some people, sometimes for a 12-year-old kid, sometimes for a 45-year-old guy, right? Like meeting somebody that they idolize or they really look up to. So I think the up close interaction with a couple of TV stars has been a hallmark of ours. And then the community aspect of among the fans and just the fun vibe. That's what we try to contribute. That's what we hope our flavor of ice cream is.
Yeah. Carlos, how do you see Galli Lucha Libre contributing to the indie wrestling community?
Well, I think we're the only real bilingual show there is. That's one of the things. Because if you go to our shows, you'll get a promo in English, you'll get a promo in Spanish, and you'll get a mixed one where it's like a Spanglish. Different. That's one of the things that I think we bring, and that's one of the things that I made after year 1 of Galli. I said I'm going in a different direction, and that's when I met a bunch of people in the indie scene where I was able to I haven't called Galli Mexican wrestling since year 1. I think by second year I stopped calling it, and I started just saying International Lucha Libre. So I think that's what we bring to the table there, that we're a little different than everybody else in that aspect.
Yeah.
We will use a lot of the same guys, but like I think Rabbi said it, we might use them different. We kind of did
Stop using that weren't luchadors. Come on. Politically correct. There was a lot of traditional professional wrestlers that ended up underneath lucha masks, because at one point when Carlos started to switch the product, all the traditional luchadors got pissed off.
I see.
Because they didn't appreciate the professional wrestling side of everything. So when they're all like, fine, we're going to go here and start our own thing, Carlos was scrambling for masked wrestlers. So, here, a guy that a lot of you, that everybody in this room knows, Storm Grayson, originally wrestled under a mask when he first started out. Joey Marks wrestled under a mask when he started out. Who else? Who else was under a mask? I'm trying to remember.
James Russo.
Matt Nix. Matt Nix wrestled at Galli under a mask.
Shout out.
So, I mean, Colin Smith. I don't remember what his gimmick name was, but he wrestled. He wrestled under a mask.
Justin Incredible.
Just Amazing. He wrestled under a mask.
Just Incredible. I'm sorry. Just Amazing.
No, not Just Incredible. Technically Just Incredible wrestled under a mask at 1.2. So
I was close.
But yeah, Carlos had to call an audible and try to find others that were willing to don the mask and wrestle at Galli when they weren't traditionally lucha trained.
Well, Isaiah's wrestled under a mask, remember that?
Well, Isaiah, before Isaiah wrestled under a mask elsewhere. He wrestled at Galli first under a mask. Jordan Pride wrestled under a mask. Lamar Titan wrestled under a mask. So,
Overload.
Yeah.
Well, he always wrestled under a mask.
No, it's a good point. So, yes, and we just had an episode 2, and part 2 is probably going to be out by the time you're listening to this, though. But to talk about the English Spanish, and honestly, something like I said, just hanging out with knowing Chris for 8 years and hanging out with Chris for 8 years and doing a podcast that was once weekly at some point and then went to bi-weekly. Just the Spanish influence in my life has grown, appreciation for lucha. And we had an episode that was 2 parts that we just recorded entirely in Spanish. James might love that episode because I say like 10 words and then I shut the fuck up for the rest of the episode. And Chris does the interview completely in Spanish. So that is something we've always wanted to do. And
I'm not going to understand it, but as long as Charlie shuts up, hell yes.
I want to thank James publicly for making me politically correct on that last statement.
There you go. You're good, Carlos. I think we knew what you meant. I know.
That's going to be the clip that they put out, though.
We ran out of Mexicans. Jeez, man.
Hey, and the words on top are going to say Carlos hates his own race.
No, not from us. Not from us. No. Okay, that's funny. Trent, how do you see your promotion contributing to the indie wrestling Chicago community?
Well, the AEW has always been like the promo heavy promotion in the city. Like we've always done so many promo. We're big on development. Like we love, like Danny's such a big character guy, and like that's what him and I like we click on a lot. We just love, like he always tells me, he's like, I just want to leave this better than when I got here. And that's always been the mindset of AEW, is like, just leave this business better than we got it, you know? So whatever we can do to further it, to make it better, to make it more powerful, just to develop these guys. And like, I love, like the promos are my thing. So I love getting it out of some of these talents. Like when I talk to them, I go, tell me what your character is. Like, let's establish this now. Like, let's really get to the bottom of who you are, what you're trying to be. And that's one of our biggest focus. Like, let's try to elevate these guys. If they're in our house, let's give them this stage. Let's give them all the opportunities we can to elevate them and make them better talents, make the business stronger, that kind of thing. Obviously, ultimately connect with the fans more too. So that's always been our thing, is like, we want to elevate not only these talents, but the image of what indie wrestling is, what indie wrestling in Chicago is too.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I think we do that. We do pretty well. We have a lot. Like I said, we're big on the promo stuff. We're big on the character development. If I can help these guys have an avenue where they can elevate in their own mind, even like elevate their mindset, their pride of what they're doing, like who they are, define themselves even more, then that's a feather in our cap. Like we feel accomplished that, hey, we're giving back to this business. And especially if they go on to bigger and better things, what better pride is it? Especially when I see like there's so many guys on TV that we've all worked with, right? Like and sometimes you'll see a guy on TV maybe even say something in a promo that's like, I remember when he came up with that line at our show, things like that. And you're like, hey, that's pretty cool. We came up with that together, or we did that, whatever, together or something. It happens once in a while. And it's kind of like a cool thing to see that we're fueling this machine. And I like that. I think we're really proud of it too.
Yeah. James, same question.
Repeat the question, please.
How do you see your promotion contributing?
Carlos, you got me all messed up. So,
how do you see your promotion contributing to the indie wrestling community?
Well, I mean, we have the school first and foremost. So, I know our students have helped Steve out at Warrior. I know they go work for Rabbi and help him out. I know several of them have gone to AAW. I think Davina's been featured on Alive a lot recently.
Yeah, she just broke to the main show. So yeah, we're
perfect.
Going back to your earlier thing though, James, no complaints from any of your students so far. Everybody's conducted themselves great.
I'll let Isaiah know.
No, okay.
Yeah, you're next.
So we have the school. So I feel like with all the promotions in the area, and we have with the school, we have a good relationship with the majority of the promotions in the area. We've sent Carlos hit me up one time. He's like, hey, I'm short on people. Who would you recommend from the school? And I gave him a list. I'm like, I'll let them know. From that point, it's on them to contact you. But I'll let them know that I heard from you and that you were interested. And as far as like the actual company is concerned, Matt Nix, his whole thing from the start was inclusion. Whatever the definition of inclusion is for everybody is what we go for. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, talent that we see value in that someone might not. All right, let's use them. When he started freelance, it was, okay, we're struggling to get on shows. Let me give these guys an opportunity. Brian Keith, just use him as an example. Brian Keith was a Texas wrestler. We got in on the ground floor of Brian Keith. He gets signed. AEW talent, they come with a list of rules normally, or depending on the day you run, it's hard to bring them in. He happened to have a free weekend because everybody went to the UK. The guy I met in 2021 is the same guy I talked to and hung out with in 2025.
That's awesome.
So being in the ground floor with talent from outside the state as well, that's what we're looking at. I know the word safe place is made fun of a lot, but that was another thing. We're a safe spot for everybody, no matter race, color, creed, preference. We want you all there to have fun. You don't have to necessarily be a professional wrestling fan to come to a freelance show. You could just be somebody from the area that's just looking to have a good time, and that's what we want you to have. We want you to have a good time. Yeah. And chances are, if you do come, you're going to continue to come over and over again. So.
Yeah. Man, that's very well said. And Rabbi Fine, how do you see promotion contributing to the Chicago indie wrestling community?
Yeah, I think one of our catchphrases that we use is we're the ring of opportunity. So where you might not be able to get on an AAW card quite yet, we might have an opening. We put out calls for new talent, and we take that seriously. Although I wish some people would be far more respectful with their submissions, but we try to give opportunity when possible, and leave a spot or two on almost every card, but also opportunity for talent to find more of themselves. We've talked about Sean Logan a lot, but like that really was like, listen, I don't need another. This conversation he's noted before in other like takes, but like I don't need another just guy who looks there, who has a cool entrance song, for sure. And I respect that what he does at other places, but like I need something different. And I pitched this idea to him, and he took it and made it his own. And now he's booked so many different places as multiple different personas, and he's, in my opinion, crushing it. I look just at my row on this, like he's been on, I think, the last two freelance shows. He's been at AEW since the beginning. We all know what kind of person he is and the grind he's on. And so we thought we could give him an opportunity to raise that, to maybe come out of the shadow of a group. No disrespect of that group. It's an awesome group. I wish I had that group. But Sean isn't the leader of that group, or he has never been. So maybe he could be a leader, and or someone like David Ali, who came from a different state and did amazing stuff in a different state. He's been on other people's shows as well, but we could really feature him in a way, either because of our opportunity given. So sometimes it's opportunity to the talent. Sometimes it's new talent. Sometimes it's moving talent. And sometimes it's just an opportunity to give people a stepping stone to show a little bit more who they are, because one of the hard things for talent is them not wanting to lose their spot if they're on a show, but maybe also want to flex other muscles. And so, I look around just this call at like, I don't know if it was Trent who said it or James, but like we all have unique rosters. We have some overlap, but how amazing is it that we have unique rosters? Like, I don't know. I almost think that like people need to make more money so they can go to every single show every single weekend, and we can just continue to have the coolest wrestling scene. Someone put out a tweet that like the Chicago scene was dead, and I just watched the last 2 weekends. About like, I think 2 weekends ago we ran, then Warrior ran, and Galli ran, and Dreamwave ran multiple shows, NWA, POW. I was like, what wrestler wouldn't want to be in Chicago right now, right? Yeah. And like, there's new champions at CSW and by us and all over the board. It's and Warrior, a new women's champion. So it's like really cool, like to see the scene grow. Yeah, people are going to leave. That's normal. That's healthy. That's good. And get, either for, contracts or because their time is up. But there's also an incredible opportunity, and we like to be at that level where we can give people that opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great segue into the fifth and final question, which we're going to start with Carlos because he hasn't gone first yet for a question. A part that you said, Rabbi Fine, the Chicago indie scene being dead. I don't agree with that. But Carlos, what's next in 2026 for Galli Lucha Libre? That's the question. What do you guys have upcoming? And what do you plan to do, not just at the next show, but just within the next year? Like, tell us your vision.
To be honest with you, the last couple of years haven't been good to us, to be honest with you. But I want to get back to where we were after post-pandemic, where we were doing like bigger shows and being able to bring stuff. Well, one of the things that kind of knocked us out as far as bringing in stars from Mexico, and it might affect Steve too, because the WWE buying AAA kind of knocked out all those guys, and I was working with half those guys that are on the shows that you can't really get anymore. Actually, I got Messias coming probably for his last show, and then Psycho Clown in January, and then I'm done. Because I think they're becoming exclusive in the new year or something, which was bound to happen with WWE. But I know it's going to be a lot harder to get them. One of the things I've been trying to do is what we did back in the day when I first met Lince Dorado, Ashima, Mecha Wolf, those guys that nobody knew them, but they had a lot of talent. I'm going to try to start doing that again because try to develop new talent, because right now there's no big buzz. Like when Lucha Underground hit, there was a big buzz for independent Lucha Libre talent. And then PWG did that too. There was a big buzz. Mm-hmm. You had Penta Phoenix, and then Aramis, Aris, all those guys. You had a big buzz of Lucha Libre. There isn't that buzz right now with Lucha Libre independent stars. So I want to be part of the. We want to be part of the. We launched the new stars of Lucha Libre. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So because there's no real big buzz right now for independent Lucha Libre stars like there was during like 214 through 222, 223. The last couple of years it kind of died out, and then with the WWE purchase of AAA, it knocks out like more than half of the guys that I was working with. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Confident you can get back there for sure. At least we are. Trent. 2026, what's next? What's the vision?
I think, honestly, same as what Carlos said, we're all trying to develop some of this newer talent. I think what Rabbi just mentioned earlier, like one of our posters, the AEW poster, like one of the shows you went to, everybody from that poster is on TV now. But the thing is, at the time, they even all had indie buzz, indie followings. There's a little bit of a gap in that now. There's not those big buzzing indie guys going around, guys and girls. There's some, obviously, I mean, there's not none, but it's not as frequent, or it's not as quick to develop and turn over like it once was. And I think we're all kind of in a development phase. Like we opened a lot of doors this year at AEW, a lot of new talent. We went with a lot of new people, kind of elevated a lot of new people. I think now we have to take them to that next level. We're really going to be kind of turning the corner on some of these doors we opened, and really just getting those guys to the next level. So I think that's the fun part to me. I don't know about you guys. I don't speak for everybody, but I think it is a fun thing that we all share, is like getting these guys elevated, turning the corner on some of these talents, like really seeing some of these experiments almost, for lack of a better term, pay off. When you take a shot on somebody who you never knew maybe had it, but you took a shot because you thought there's something there. Let's elevate them. Let's see what happens, and it pays off. They start clicking. They start working out. The fans take to them, and then so it's like, all right, cool. Like that's a new project now. That's become something I can run with, and seeing those things come to head are a lot of fun. So I think we have a lot of that going on at AEW. So I think 2026 is going to be a lot of us just focusing on that, getting some of these new talents elevated, and then the next level being up after them, building that foundation, just trying to keep churning this roster, fueling the fire on it. So I'm excited about that. That's the fun part to me.
Right. No, I know you're heavy in the youth development, so that's great. James, what's next for 2026? What's upcoming on the horizon and your vision?
You never want to get stale. You never want to get to a point where like AAW got to, where all of their talent at one time gone, signed. So our constant goal every year is to try to stay a step or two ahead, use new talent, cycle people in and out. So for 2026, I've been saying to everybody, it's going to look a lot different. There's going to be people coming back that you haven't seen in a long time. There's going to be debuts of people that have never been to even Chicago. And with that, and we talked about it on the previous episode with me, is then you're going to also have those guys and girls that aren't there anymore. And it's nothing personal. It's a business decision. And that goes back to the whole be professional, stay humble, all that stuff. Don't run your mouth, because eventually it does get back to promoters. From the promoter down to the DJ to the production guy, someone hears something. So our shows are going to look a little bit different this year than they did 2025, 2024, 2023, 2022, and 2021.
That makes sense. Rabbi, fine. 2026, what's upcoming?
A few things. We're trying to for the first time, we have two solid venues that we're really trying to build up as homes for wrestling. One, how we started, which was really like more youthful shows with colorful characters. So that's like in the suburbs. And then really Cubby Bear, where we've been playing last couple shows, which has been awesome and beyond what I ever imagined for us. So that's super exciting. I think we are trying to also have a couple different shows. Like we like to travel a little bit. So we're hoping to have a Mania show. We're hoping to have some shows out of town. Cool. Listen, I'll say this to the guys if they want to hear. I'm springing this out, but 2 weekends ago when I saw all these shows popping up, I couldn't help but think that, like, and no disrespect to GCW at all, like we don't need them to run a collective. We could do something really cool with all the local promotions here.
I love
that no other city really can do. Different venues, or like a buy all ticket, or all of us pulling together. And I think that the fans in Chicago would rave about this. And that's something I'd be super interested, especially if like WWE keeps running overseas. Like there are weekends here that I think fans from all over the Midwest, if we put our heads together, could come up with each of our unique ways of doing it. Maybe it's one venue, maybe it's multiple venues. That stuff actually is less important to me. More important to me is to like show something really cool for Chicago wrestling, and also would naturally promote all of us to say to like, I was just on this call with another promoter, but basically what he was saying was he believes that like there'll be an economic change, and he's seeing a little bit of decline in tickets, and we haven't really seen that yet, and that's partially because of the venues we play and the ways we play them, but so it's up to us but we're still cheaper than going to a Bulls game, which is $500, or a Bears game, which is, now that they're good, we still hold this space in the economic world where it's somewhat affordable to everyone. And if we could figure out how to do it together, I would be totally open to that. We've done stuff with other promotions, and I think there's a grand opportunity. So I'll throw that out there to the guys. You all have, I think we all follow each other on social. So just, if you're interested, let's do it. December seems like a good time, but summer could work too. So I'm open.
Yeah. No, I love that. And before we get to Steve for this question, and as the last question to be answered here, it's funny, on that episode, on that 16 years ago, they brought that up about working together, and all the guys kind of shot it down immediately. And I think this group right here, it might not ever happen, but this group right here, I just think is a lot more positive in that mindset. And I think that's really cool to see this group 16 years later kind of toss that around, or maybe that you've thought about that before or something like that. So a Chicago collective, I think, would slap. That would be absolutely amazing.
The group 16 years ago also had the mentality of it's a competition.
They did.
Oh,
and you can tell.
Can't use, it was more like, you can't use my guys. No, you can't use this venue. You can't do this. You can't do that. 16 years ago, it was all about the fight to essentially almost put each other out of business, so that you were the king of Chicago. Whereas now, everybody pretty much just stays in their own lane, does their shows for their fans or all the fans, and doesn't necessarily have some kind of secret vendetta to go after another promotion. Whereas 16 years ago, all those guys at some point or another worked together and had a falling out. AAW was started by Tony Scarpone, who wrestled at PCW with PL Myers and Jimmy Blaze. Jimmy Blaze was at Windy City with Ripper Manson and Steve Kane, and VWAA was a splinter off of Windy City. Everything was a splinter off of Windy City, but it was, everybody had a problem with each other. Whereas now, PCW's gone, out of business. VWA is out of business. Windy City out of business. Well, the real Windy City out of business. Pow's still around, but Jimmy's a really nice guy. Carlos works with him at the school. Jimmy rents time at the school. I talk to Jimmy every now and again. Whenever I see him, I definitely make sure I say hello. So then is a completely different time than now.
Yeah.
Completely different time.
Agreed. So
now let Steve talk, damn it.
No, it's a perfect way to put what I was trying to say. And you gave the history and context. That's great. Steve.
Yeah. So real quick, a point off that, and then I'll answer the question. When we started Warrior in 2018, after we announced that we were a thing, and talking to Charlie and Chris, we're like, is this a real thing? One of the best conversations I had was with Matt Nix from Freelance. We talked on the phone for like an hour, and Matt told me all about what he was trying to accomplish with Freelance, what the niche was he was trying to carve out. I told him what we were trying to do, and we just talked about ways we can help each other. So like, I have always been a fan of the idea that a rising tide lifts all boats, because I do think we are slightly different flavors of ice cream. And there can be multiple ice cream shops, right? Like, as long as we're not running down the street from one another on the same day all the time. Like, generally we try to avoid each other's dates. Sometimes some of us might overlap, but like, generally we can all operate ice cream shops and like have a great ice cream collective. Like, that is very, very doable. So
that's the name of it. The Ice Cream Collective.
The Ice Cream Collective.
Thanks.
So anyway, so yes. To the rabbi's prompt, yes, absolutely. It's a great idea. Let's kick it around. To answer the question, I think two things real quickly. Number one, we're really focused on the fan experience in 2026. So what is it like going to a wrestling show, and how can we enhance that? So not just the product in the ring, but how can we enhance everything about what it's like going to a wrestling show? So that's really going to be our focus. You're going to see a lot of elements like that from us. The other thing too is trying to figure out where is their bandwidth, or where is their room to work for a fan's attention. So real quickly, when we started in 2018, there was Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night SmackDown Live, end of list. for wrestling on broadcast television, right? Like you could watch NXT episodes on the WWE network on Wednesday nights or whatever, but it was Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night SmackDown, end of list. TNA was on like the preview channel on cable or something at 11 p.m. on a Thursday. So really a wrestling fan had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where no major wrestling was being beamed at them over the airwaves or the cable waves. Look at today. You've got Monday Raw, Tuesday NXT, Wednesday Dynamite, Thursday TNA, Friday SmackDown, Saturday Collision, and Sunday pay-per-view from somebody usually. So now the wrestling fan who was looking for wrestling, and that was also corresponding with the time where WWE sucked balls for like 7 years there, right? And so like they sucked and there was no real other alternative for a product. So people went looking to stream indie wrestling, to watch it on YouTube and DVDs and Blu-rays, and to go to indie wrestling. Now, if you are a wrestling fan, you literally have top-level national company beamed to you every night of the week. So one of the things we all need to figure out, and there's no one answer, and I don't have an answer, is how do we build back up to being a bigger portion, a bigger market share of the wrestling fans' brain? And I think part of that might be they get sick of too much WWE, too much AEW, when those things falter. But we've got to figure out, and I don't have an answer for 26, how does independent wrestling reclaim the land it had on a wrestling fan's brain in like 2018, 19, and 20? Because we had a lot of space for rent in their brains and in their attention span.
That's true. Really true. It's a lot easier to burn out quickly as a fan. 2018, 2019, I remember Chris and I, and you guys do a great job too of running on different weekends and things like that. But yeah, the appetite, our indie appetite was definitely there more, and now we're a little bit more fried. So it's a great answer to close us out. Before we get into anything else, we've had a person who's with us for an extra however long who put down a toddler. We've got 2 people that are still in their offices. We need to wrap this up. Chris, do you have anything to say before we wrap up this awesome episode? And please, just send these people home if they want it. You could stay and talk, but if you guys need to go. Chris.
I sleep in my office, so don't worry about it.
No, I want to thank everyone for today's time, for making this idea a reality, right? Of bringing, Chicagoland promotions that we're familiar with, that we, enjoyed over the years, not only attending the shows, but actually having conversations with you guys on the mic, off the mic, at the venues, and always welcoming 2 Heels and a Face to your shows. So with that being said, I also want to just, I do want to highlight I know Steve loves ice cream, but if we could just make this a buffet analogy here, we have a lot of food to choose from, right? So, Carlos, running the lucha and wrestling mix, has that specific niche, but also it tastes very different. Like for me, when I went to my first Galli show, it's like, damn, like for me, because I love Lucha Libre, is like, this is where I belong. This is where I haven't been, and I want more of this, right? We started, going to AAW as a podcast, and Trent welcoming us, and really experiencing pro wrestling redefined, right? And with promos and the production that AAW has behind them. Steve, talking to you recently, like building that experience for the fans, like going to a wrestling show is not just to watch the in ring. Now you have an experience. Recently, talking to the rabbi, right? Like it's a family friendly show. Come and enjoy the show. Everybody, can enjoy this moment together. And Freelance, we were there constantly on the Friday shows, enjoying, a party atmosphere that welcomed everybody. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what wrestling has done for me, for us as a podcast, and I think I might be able to speak for Charlie here, is it just brings people together and allows us to escape from our day-to-days and things that are going on in our real lives, and it allows us to have a little pocket where we can go, enjoy, be ourselves, and just kind of decompress. So that's my closing to this episode, and thank you for making it happen.
Wow, great job, Chris. What a close.
I think I could say from all of us, congrats to you guys on almost 300 episodes and happy upcoming retirement to you guys.
Yeah.
John, you couldn't let Cena have his moment, right? You had to steal the thunder this month and retire as well. But whatever.
I was just gonna say, Charlie and Chris give up. That's how it ends on episode 3.
Yeah, just a smile, drunken smile on my face.
I think you two are quitters. It's fine.
I told James this gives us more time to go to shows now. I mean, I'm a bus away from Cubby Bear. I owe Second Wrestling the show 100%. It's less time editing episodes. It's more time with the family on a Tuesday, so maybe we can sneak away on a Friday. So I think we're going to enjoy our retirement, and we're going to enjoy our retirement by seeing you guys more often, I think, just in a different capacity. That's the plan.
This was a good idea, though. It was nice to, like, Carlos and Steve I've hung out with before, but it was nice to finally meet the Rabbi and James. Like, we were all in the same like lexicon here, but I never got to meet you guys, so it's just really nice to connect with everybody and say hello. And now we're all pals, and even though we're still fighting for those ticket sales, we're still all pals here. But no, this is a pretty cool idea. I really enjoyed this, and I'm looking for. I definitely want to. I want to be at more of you guys' shows too. I love attending other shows and seeing you guys. So like very, very soon I'll be popping in and seeing you guys again. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope you guys.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry.
You're going.
From my point of view, whenever you guys want to come out to a show, just let me know ahead of time. I'll have comps at the door. I think I've told Trent a couple of times. He never tells me when he's coming. He just shows up and buys a ticket. But freelance. I don't know if I'm welcome, but I show up to the shows and just walk. And he doesn't even bug.
Never welcome.
He's always been the door.
You guys are all welcome. You guys are all welcome, and we're known from what the boys tell me is having some of the best catering too. So you guys can also eat occasionally.
I can't go there because then the guys will rub it in my face. Like, what's up?
Open doors for everybody, man. Thank you. It's great to see you guys at the show.
It's awesome. I think you guys, honestly, I think this maybe you guys heard something new or learned something from each other today, and there's probably more picking of brains that could happen for sure.
So
listen, don't forget, Trent also and Danny have always welcomed me at their shows too. I don't want to leave that out.
For sure. Hey, but next time we should all do this, and we can all share the emails we get from the rookies who just graduated training, and we'll have a $500 price tag attached, right? Can we all share those emails next time?
We probably. You ever see what Jordan Grace did years ago, where she took all her horrible ideas? We could do that, and we could probably make a killing.
I'll tell you, we should just sit here and read the DMs from our social medias about like these kids who just graduated and just have the biggest expectation of what they want when they come into your promotion. Because some of the funniest things, I forward all those to you guys, Tyler Voles, our commentator. I say, please see Tyler Voles for details on how to get booked. I make sure they contact him with everything.
I forward everything to my son and tell him, just look at the video. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't even remember him, and I was trying. I forget where we were running, like hours away, and I was trying to rent a ring from this guy. He's like, "You ghosted me 5 years ago. Fuck you." I'm like, "I don't even know who you are." Like,
grudges in this business for sure. Come on, that's never gonna change.
Yeah, Carlos is the John Hamm madman meme where he's like, "I don't think about you at all."
Well, I mean, it kind of sucks sometimes because you don't it's hard to remember everybody, and we're like a rabbi. We give a lot of people opportunities. I might never see them for years, and then out of the blue, it's like, I worked for you. It's like, I'm not trying to be like a bad person, but I don't remember. But and then, I mean, not to be a prick, but if maybe you're doing a lot better now, but maybe you didn't stick out when I saw you. That's some guys, it takes a while.
For sure. Yeah. No, this is a great idea. Thanks everyone for their time. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being open to it. Chris, you want to take us home?
Yeah, I mean, we have episode 300 coming up on December 29th. We'll go live. We'll post some stuff on social media so you're aware. But, you can check out all our previous episodes at twoheelsandaface.com, any other articles. And apparently we're going to do a Shy 25 before we ride off into the sunset. So
we're going to do one of those. Yeah. And episode 300 is just a 3-hour live stream, no agenda. We're just going to be drinking Modelo's. Feel free to every one of you to join, hang out, say the goodbyes to the show, not goodbyes to us, because you'll see us.
Just a quick question. What's Shy 25?
Shy 25 is a list we've been doing for maybe 4 years now. It is Chicago's top 25 wrestlers picked by us. It's all the wrestlers that you probably see at all of your promotions. And it's our own PWI 500. That's why we did it, because people are obsessed with those lists and love those lists. We made a Shy 25. So you're going to get a new version. Okay. I usually publish that sometime early January.
They started to fall asleep at the number 25, and they're like, all right, this is where we're going to stop.
I think it just because I don't know why I did that number. Shy 20. I think it just rhymes. Dude, there's a method to the madness, James. There's a method to the madness.
Oh, I know you always have some kind of method to something.
yeah. Scathing reviews for freelance wrestling shows coming in 2026. Look out for those.
No, you're booking the shows in 2026 like you were doing in 2024. Come on.
I've predicted stuff that has happened at shows. I'm just saying. I wrote about Vega versus Fitchett a year before it happened. That's all I'm saying. I might be in the meetings.
You may be in the meetings. There's a mole in the meetings. Just filtering you info from all of us. Okay.
I've tapped him. It's okay.
You know, Sean Logan's at a lot of these shows. I'm just gonna say, like, I don't know, man. That's starting to start piece together now. Starting to make a lot more sense.
You know, that's true. Logan is at quite a few shows, isn't he?
There he is. And he's the winner of this year's buffet bracket.
And he won their bracket? Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, blame the rabbi for that. Rabbi was in their DMs. He's like, where's our guys? And then Sean ended up winning the whole thing. So,
well, he's been on a couple of our shows. Was he on your shows at all, Steve?
Okay, so 4 out of 5.
Yeah. We gotta look into him in 26.
Well, if you want to get your shows leaked to Two Heels in the Face, yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Okay, Chris, I think we're done here.
Yeah, that's it.
And I guess
thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure to
meet you, everybody.